Yo, what up? This is Dylan from ProducerGrind. I'm real excited to show you guys this piece of content right here. A lot of you know that it's funnel week. If you don't know what a sales funnel is, I definitely urge you guys to go check out the Gabe from Legion Beats and the Anno Domini podcast that we did. These guys are really like bringing in a new concept to the producer community. And this is a concept that's not really new to the marketing world. A lot of multi-million and multi-billion dollar companies use sales funnels as their like primary strategy to sell products and services. And these guys are actually the first producers to ever make $1 million in a single year selling beats online. And for those of you guys that know the current sales model, you know, uploading beats to YouTube and sending them to your website, you can definitely make like a good six-figure income. You know what I mean? If you're one of the top producers, and I'm talking like the top 10 to 50 producers in the world that sell beats online. But these guys were guys that like had like really no following on Instagram, no views on YouTube, and they still did $1 million in sales. So I'm real excited to be like one of the first people to help them introduce this method to the producer community. So in this video, we basically took two producers that are new to producer sales funnels. We basically critiqued them. We went through the website, put it up on the screen, and you know, we broke it down and told them where their weaknesses were and where their strengths. Now the first guy is a guy that actually needed to fix and clean up a lot of things in his sales funnel. He's not really getting a lot of sales. He's not really having a good conversion rate. So we pointed out a lot of the flaws that he had, and there's a lot of things that you guys can learn from that. And then the second guy is a guy that's killing it. His funnel is making him like, I think in total he's making like $9 grand a month right now. So if you guys have any questions along the way, definitely drop a comment. We'll definitely be responding to those and helping you guys out. And then also you can hit me up on IG anytime at CEO Dylan. I'm real good about answering DMs. Also, if you guys are interested in learning more about producer funnels, Legion Beats, Anno Domini, and myself are doing a live training webinar this Thursday that you guys can sign up for. Just kind of get sauced up on exactly what funnels are and how you can get started, how you can start driving traffic at like no cost. So you can check the link in the description for that, and then also the pinned comment will have a link where you guys can check that out. Appreciate you guys tuning in to this video, tuning in to everything we've done during funnel week. Let's get started.
All right, what's up guys? My name is Gabe from Legion Beats. Here with a couple of my friends. We're going to be talking about selling beats online. We're going to be talking about funnels. We're going to be giving some feedback. And before we get into it, I just want to let everybody just introduce themselves real quick, just so everybody knows who we all are.
Hey, what's going on? What's going on, guys? It's Anno Domini here, co-founder of MIDI Money, together with Gabe, and CEO of Anno Domini Nation, Modern Producers. Super excited to be giving you guys a little bit more info about funnels today.
What's up, guys, man? Dylan from ProducerGrind, CEO of ProducerGrind, also a host on the ProducerGrind podcast. You guys may have seen, you know, our episodes and interviews that we've done with a whole bunch of producers, man. But these guys right here, they, you know, they definitely uncovered a new system of selling beats right now. I'm real excited. A lot of you guys have seen the episode of Gabe on our podcast and Anno Domini by now. So let's go, man. Let's get these gems going.
Yeah, let's do it.
I got my my ProducerGrind shirt on.
Yes, sir. You already know.
and then we got Daryl. What's up, bro? How you doing, man?
So I'm good, man. I may not have the I know about you all, but I'm a up and coming producer. Really just out here trying to do everything everybody else is trying to do. Find the best ways to help my business, help the brand.
For sure.
Absolutely. Cool. And when did you join us? Because you joined MIDI Money.
So about the end of August. It was funny thing was, it's literally like I watched the ProducerGrind interview and I wasted no time.
Nice. That's what's up. Cool, man. Well, this is going to be great because you are going to get your funnel critiqued and reviewed by all of us. So it's going to be good times. Real quick before we kind of hop into the critique, I just want to sort of give some context to anybody who's maybe not so familiar with what a funnel is, and let you guys know. So basically, if you kind of think about the way that most people sell beats, and really the way most people have sold stuff online for a long time, is using a traditional website. And by website, I'm talking about like, you know, kind of what you think of when you think of a website where there's like a menu with a bunch of options, and there's like some kind of store, and then there's like links out to your social media and all this kind of stuff, right? And if you have one of these websites, you may have noticed that you're probably not making a ton of money from it. And there's this thing that's starting to pick up a lot of steam recently, which is sort of the evolution of the website, which is a sales funnel. And basically the sort of philosophy behind a sales funnel is that it's really taking your customer by the hand and controlling that journey, controlling the experience for them. It's like a high-end experience for them instead of them like walking into a warehouse and like trying to figure it out. This will hopefully make more sense once we kind of show you what's going on. But that's sort of the idea. I don't know, AD, am I explaining that well? Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. I just add on to that the whole philosophy of building a funnel is essentially to boil everything down to the essentials so you don't confuse your customer. So when you get to the website, you see all these different things distracting you, taking your attention away from the actual action that you want your customer to take, which in this case is probably to buy something. So we're basically going to show you guys how a funnel is different from a website and analyze the funnel that Daryl built already, just to give him some tips and hopefully give you guys a little bit of creativity and a spark of inspiration as well to go off and build your own funnels and get a bit more of a sense of the marketing foundation of where this is all coming from, why it makes sense, and why we're going to tell you to do what we're about to tell you to do.
Awesome. And also just to help give it some context and understanding why we're so excited about this is because, you know, both AD and I, we have traditional websites and beat stores and stuff like that. And both of us make, you know, decent money off of that. But I've literally made 10 times easily from my funnels than I have from sort of that more traditional model. You know, we've done stuff like we teamed up last year. We did the first 6-figure launch in our industry, which was we made $200,000 in a week selling beats online, which sounds crazy, which really probably wouldn't be possible using that old model, but is with this model. Both Anno Domini and I have gotten our 2 Comma Club awards, which is something that comes from ClickFunnels, which is the platform that most sales funnels are built these days, that you get when you do over $1 million in revenue. So that's, again, something that's not really common in the beat selling industry, but that's why we're so excited about this. So let's hop into it. Let's hop in here. So I'm going to pull up Daryl's funnel, and this is going to be great because we're going to give him some feedback, and for all you guys watching, give you guys some ideas about how this can work, some of the things that are working, and some things that you guys might be able to improve if this is something that you are interested in. So we've got Daryl's funnel right here, and this is the first page of the funnel. And again, it's that funnel philosophy, right? There's only one call to action. There's only one thing they can do here, right? He's going to give them 5 free beats in exchange for their email address. So a couple things to talk about here. One is like, again, there's only one thing they can do. They can either take this exchange or not and leave. They're not going to get distracted. They're not going to go off to social media. They're not distracted by a whole bunch of options. It's just that, or they can leave. And the other thing is the exchange of value here, which is that you're always providing more value to them than they're giving to you. So like all they have to do is put in their name and email. You're giving them 5 free beats. Like that's a great deal, right? And we'll talk about it on the next page. But again, the whole concept there is going to be, you're going to provide much more value than the whatever price point is that you're offering. And then they're going to want to take that action. So that's kind of like the philosophy there. Yeah, let's get into some specifics on here. And yeah, you guys feel free to hop in with anything you see.
Yeah, one thing that jumps out at me right away is the colors and the layout. I noticed you have like this odd gray bar at the bottom here. Gabe, maybe if you could just scroll down a little bit. So I'm not sure if you put that there on purpose, but it kind of looks like it doesn't really belong there. So maybe just delete that row element from within your ClickFunnels editor. In terms of the colors, it's a very dark page. In my personal experience, whenever I've had like a light background and more light colors, more bright colors, my pages tend to perform better. So depending on what your opt-in rate right now is, you might want to split test that and see if that might increase the opt-in rate. So for you guys watching this, if you don't know what an opt-in rate is, basically that's a percentage of how many people reach this first opt-in page and actually click on the button and drop their email. So we'd be looking for an opt-in rate of at least 30%, but preferably in the range of like 40 to 50%. Daryl, maybe you can chime in. I'm not sure like what your opt-in rate is for this particular page right now.
Well, mine is pretty low. Honestly, I would say I've made 1 sale so far, but I think I'm still in. It was funny because I posted in the chat, you know, saying just, you know, seeing what I could get, feedback I could get. But I would say it's pretty low right now, but I think I'm in that stage of just trying to figure out what I could change and what I can, you know, to switch up, like what you just told me about the colors. That's what I'm pretty much focusing on now, I would say, is those tips right there.
And Daryl, part of the, I'm sorry to cut you off, but part of the whole the thing that's really important to be able to like, what's the word? To diagnose where the issue is like a lot of times what we look at is like, okay, what are our sales looking like? And that's all we think about, right? But the way that you can actually diagnose the problem is go step by step, right? Because if you have a low opt-in percentage, which is actually what if you caught, that's actually what AD asked you about. If your opt-in percentage is low, then you're not even going to have enough people see the thing that you're selling to them in the first place. So it doesn't mean you need to adjust your offer or anything there necessarily. It might be like, oh no, we just need to adjust this page. So do you happen to know your opt-in percentages? I think you had tried to send it to me. You sent me like a very tiny picture that I can't.
Yeah, it was weird trying to screenshot it. I would say it's low from this past. I think because it did like every 7 days, every 30. I think like right now it's like pretty low at like 38% or something like that.
Okay, cool. That's actually all we need to know. So yeah, so that is a low opt-in percentage. So what that means is that we need to make some of these adjustments like what we're talking about here, because again, if they're not even getting past this page, then there's no way you're going to get any sales. They're not even seeing the offer. So yeah, so I would work on that. Definitely this bar. Another thing that you want to make sure is that you have links here for terms and conditions and privacy policy. That's something just to stay compliant. It's not a big deal if you're not running Facebook ads to it, but if you are, you want to make sure that you have that. And you can just check in the Facebook group. We have a quick template that you can use to just link straight out to that.
That's real good to know. Real quick question. Do you guys suggest having the button lead to another page to collect the email opt-in, or do you guys suggest just having that email form right there on that landing page?
Yeah, so you can do it a couple ways. So there's like, sometimes you'll see it where you see like the name field and the email field, right? Is that what you're talking about, Dylan? As opposed to like this where you press a button. So there's different philosophies on this. To me, what I like about this way is that they click here, then they take another action. Some people call these micro commitments, which is basically every time they take another step, it's like they're committing a little bit more to that next thing. It's like if you've ever like filled out a survey or something, if you notice the first couple questions are always really easy, like, hey, what's your name? What's your whatever? And then as you get deeper and deeper into it, they want like a whole paragraph of stuff. But you've already made those micro commitments. You're already like pot committed. You know, you're already like starting to go in. So it's sort of a little psychological thing that the more times they click and do something like that, the more they're committed and they're more likely to take the next action you want them to take, which is eventually to actually buy something.
Yeah. So I want to add to that there's obviously a fine line between having, a couple of steps to make those micro commitments and then having too many steps. Because if you make it really hard for somebody, they're just going to tune out as well, especially when it comes to something simple like dropping their email address. So sometimes that's why, for example, on this page, Daryl has this pop-up form, right? So it's not actually taking somebody to another page. It's literally just a pop-up on the same page, which you can even X out if you want to. So it's like finding that balance essentially. So this is actually the way that Gabe and I both have our opt-in pages set up too, and that's probably the way that we would recommend most people to do it.
Yeah, definitely. No, that's a good point. Like you don't want to take that to the extreme, like, I'm going to make them take 10 micro commitments. They have to click here, here, and here, and here. It's like, no, you're going to lose a percentage of people every time you make them do more stuff. So yeah, it's definitely finding that balance.
And again, it's super important. This is the whole funnel philosophy, like only give them one option on every page or every pop-up or something like that. So when we're talking about those micro commitments, don't have them like fill out like a bunch of different things and forms and like, loads of different buttons going to different places. Definitely make sure you streamline the whole process.
Okay.
So I had a quick question. When you're talking about on that lower part of like where the terms, what were you saying about what we should have there again?
Yeah, so you're going to want those to link to your terms and conditions and privacy policy. We've got a little template for you, which is in our private MIDI Money Facebook group. I can find the link later for everybody else, but basically it's super simple. You just click there, they'll create it for you, they create the page for you, and then you just create the links here. You just make sure that this actually links out to that, which again, if you're just sending free traffic there for now, it doesn't really matter. But when you start sending paid traffic, like a Facebook ad, they will actually check that kind of stuff. And then you could get your ads to approve, or, even the extreme, get your account shut down. Usually that won't happen right away, but Facebook is super finicky with that kind of stuff, and they'll decline ads and shut down accounts super easy. So you just want to make sure you're as compliant as possible with everything.
Cool. And then one final thing I wanted to mention as well. Your logo at the top, it looks a little grainy. I might want to work on that a little bit, maybe come up with like a professional logo, for example, from somebody from Fiverr.com. You can literally get somebody to make a really great looking logo for $5 or $10, something like that. I think that will definitely do a lot to position you as an authority and just look more professional. Right now, this page looks a little suspect to me. You know, it's not necessarily something that fills me with confidence. So maybe let's try and get this looking a little more sharp.
Okay.
Yeah, and I would just add to that, make sure when they, you get somebody to create that logo for you, have them send you a PNG with a clear background. And basically what that's going to do, instead of having this little box around it, it'll look more natural on the page, and it'll just look more professional as well.
Yeah, and I think I would just definitely agree with you guys on the color scheme. I think, blue and black are kind of a little bit mellow, depressing colors. I would just do some research on, good marketing colors and good, colorways and stuff like that.
Okay.
Cool. All right.
Let's move through to the special offer page.
Yes. Cool.
So guys, this is what appears once you've actually opted into the email list. So you've taken the action we want you to take on the opt-in page, and then you automatically get forwarded to this page, which is the special offer page, where we're actually going to transition to selling something.
So let's go through here. Cool. So you say, congrats, you reached the inbox next 15 minutes. Before you go, check out this limited time offer. Cool. So one thing right off the bat here is that you probably want to include a video. This is your chance to build rapport with the person who just opted in. This is your chance for them to make that connection with you. And a mistake that I made when I first started out was like Legion Beats was just a logo. Like people didn't know what I looked like. They didn't know my personality. They didn't know my story. And that really limited me. But once I started actually talking to people and putting myself on video and telling my story and having people connect to that story, that's when things really took off. So that's where having a little video there can really help, because you can tell your story and make that connection. And then also just sort of the practicality of it, you've got this button right here that says, yes, I want this. You have done nothing so far to tell them what it is, why they'd want it. So if you had a video here where you told your story and explained it, and then there's a button right underneath that says, oh yeah, I want that thing you just told me about, then that would make sense in that context. But right here, you shouldn't have this button here. So ideally add a video, but for now, if you don't have a video, take this button out, because they don't have a reason to click it yet.
Okay.
Just wanted to mention as well, I know a lot of producers are kind of, I don't want to say scared, but they don't necessarily feel comfortable in front of a camera. And that's definitely something that I struggled with. Gabe, I know you struggled with that too. Like 4 years ago, if you guys saw my videos, they were just terrible. So unnatural, no charisma. But listen, it's all just about being authentic and being true to yourself. So you don't necessarily need to be like an incredible spokesperson or marketer. All that really matters is that you address your customer personally, and they're going to resonate with that. You don't need to be this flamboyant personality, but you just have to, real talk, just tell them like your story, connect with them personally, and they're going to appreciate that and form a bond with you. And that's the whole idea of starting to build that relationship with your customer. So they don't just buy from you one time, but they keep coming back from you.
Now, guys, how important is video quality? Because I know a lot of guys, might not have access to, even like a Canon or a Nikon. Is this something you guys could just do with an iPhone?
100%, yeah. Actually, half of all my videos are just shot on my phone. Wow. And honestly, some of my best performing funnel pages have been shot on the phone as well. So definitely, whatever you have, whatever tools you have available, that's not the most important thing, the video quality.
Yeah. And exactly right. Like sometimes it even plays to your advantage for it not to be all super produced and crisp, because that's how they get the connection. Like this is, here's one of mine, right? It's basically the same style. And this one I literally shot, it's just like the webcam on my computer, right? Mm-hmm. And my plan, actually, it's funny. My plan on this was to end up redoing it. I was like, well, let me just throw this up here. I'm going to end up doing a more like produced version. And then this page ended up converting so well that I just left it. It's just me talking in front of my webcam. You know what I mean? So
right.
Doing it with your phone, that's totally fine. And sometimes even better.
Mm-hmm.
Now I noticed you said your download links are below on that funnel, Gabe.
Mhm.
Do you suggest putting the download links on the page, or do you suggest making them go to their email?
I would suggest making them go to their email. I have a slightly different thing where I'm incorporating ManyChat, which is a Facebook Messenger thing, which is
Okay.
great, but I don't usually recommend anybody starts there. That's another added level of complexity. So that's an awesome thing to get into. And so mine is structured slightly different in that way. But on this one, you want to make sure that they gave you their actual email address, and you want to make sure that they open that email, because you want to train them, first of all, to open your emails, and second of all, to click on your emails, so that when you start sending them more emails about different offers and giving value to them, but also selling them stuff, that they're used to opening it. Not to mention, the more opens that you get, the higher your deliverability rate will be. Meaning, like, you kind of get like it's almost like a score in a way. Like Gmail kind of keeps track of some kind of crazy algorithm, but like, to determine whether if your email is going to end up in the inbox, in the spam folder, in the promotions tab, it's based off of how many people are opening it, how many people are replying to it. So this is a great opportunity. You're going to get a really high open rate and click rate on that email if you force them to open that email to get their leads.
That's perfect. That was definitely my next question.
Yeah. So that's how I'd recommend setting that up.
I also wanted to jump in and just say, like, to me personally, I still feel like your email list is the backbone of your business. It's still the most powerful thing you can own, because there's all these other cool, fancy things like a ManyChat list, where you can send out automated bot messages through Facebook Messenger. But the thing is, Facebook is constantly cracking down on stuff like that. They just introduced these new rules where basically you can only send promotional content if you've engaged with somebody through Facebook Messenger in the last 24 hours. So there's all these little like caveats, which to me personally kind of still cements email's place at the top of the marketing ground.
Yeah, 100% agree. And I the way that I do it is I've been getting both. I would never not get email. And exactly for that reason. It's like Messenger for the last couple of years has been awesome. And I think it's still probably worth doing. It's probably a whole nother conversation. But the point is that traffic, that platform is owned by Mark Zuckerberg. And he is good at making money, and he's going to monetize that, right? So like, he's kind of let us like play around with it for a while, but now he's already starting to change the rules, right? But with email, you actually own that, right? You can email people from wherever. So that's the traffic you actually own. So you definitely want to focus on that. Back to this page, I would make again, updating that logo, making it a little bit nicer, and also making it smaller. This is a really common mistake, that people want to have this huge logo at the top of their page. And the thing is, the purpose of this type of funnel is to create new customers. And so a lot of times these new customers, most of the time, don't know who you are. So that logo is actually not something that they're excited about. It's not a selling point. They don't really care about your logo. They want to see the value you're going to bring to them. So if you see actually here on my similar page, my logo's tiny up here. I have it up there, but it's like, it's just there, right? Because what I want to do is I want to talk to them. I want to tell them my story. I want to connect with them. I want them to see the value of what I have to offer them. And then eventually they're going to see the value in the brand. What's up, Wish?
Hey, what's going on, man?
I'm just going to mute you for a second while we keep going with Daryl for a minute, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, and I also want to add that it's good practice to put your video above the fold, meaning that when people go to this page, they can see it right away. Because if it's pushed down too far, a lot of people are just going to sort of look at this website, read the text that's on there, and if they don't see another action to take right away, they're just going to click away or lose interest. So if they already see the video, or at least like a little bit of the video, they're going to scroll down and want to play that thing and see what it's all about. So make sure it's just on show.
Definitely. Okay, so let's keep getting through here. So again, I'd say graphics wise, I think it's great to have some kind of product mock-up. When you have like a physical looking mock-up, even if it is a digital product, it creates added value because it feels more real. So I think that's awesome. You have something there. That being said, I think the graphics on here could probably be improved. So you might want to, just like AD was saying, hit somebody up on Fiverr, maybe have somebody who you can see they've done some good work in the past, and have them create something that's just a little slicker.
Or you could always send me a DM too. I got some great graphic designers that I can definitely connect you with that work for good prices.
Perfect.
Yeah, I want to say something about the title as well. This is kind of like one of my personal, I don't want to say pet peeves, but yeah, pet peeve. I think I've seen like a million ultimate bundle or something. So if you can think of something that's like a little more catchy and unique for actually naming your bundle of products and services, I think that would definitely play to your advantage because it's going to be that much more memorable and kind of stick out to people too. So instead of like the ultimate artist bundle, make it like I don't know, like the W package or something like that. Something more, like customized to your audience and your producer name and stuff like that.
Definitely. Yeah. I think there's a couple pieces of that. One is that it's really important that you understand who your ideal customer is. Who is that person that you're talking to? And so we have all our students go through an exercise to create their customer avatar where they have a whole story, a whole psychological profile of who this person is. And that ties into who you are as a brand and what you can offer specifically, right? So that might relate to the genre. Maybe you specifically do trap beats or R&B beats, or it might be more about something about your personality. Maybe you're somebody who's super motivating and exciting, or whatever it is that's unique to you. That's kind of the value you want to bring, and then that's the customer you want to focus on, and then that's going to dictate everything, including like the name of this bundle, right? If your whole thing is I'm an incredible musician, I've been studying for years, like my beats are like incredible, all these producers are like using one finger, like but I'm like, this could be called like the real producer bundle, or I don't know, something like that, where it's like it's showing what's your, they call it unique selling proposition. What's the thing that makes you different? Whereas this is super generic, right? Ultimate artist bundle, just, it doesn't really mean anything. Cool. And so then we get into the offer here, and just to give a quick sort of background on this concept here of the offer is that what most producers are doing is they're selling a beat lease, right? And they might do like a buy one, get one free or something like that. But the reality is that's sort of what everybody's doing. And so it's really hard to sell the same thing that everybody else is selling, right? So the idea, part of, again, this whole funnel philosophy is that every step of the way you want to give more value than it feels like they're paying for, right? So whatever the price point is, you want them to feel, it needs to feel real, that the value is like 10 times that, right? So whether if you're selling a bundle, for $500, right? Then if you're selling something for $500, you have to show that the actual value of that is $5,000. And it has to actually be the value. It has to be believable. And then they're like, okay, cool. Well, man, like each step, like, man, I just gave this dude my name and email and he sent me 5 dope beats. Okay, cool. That was great. Let me take this next step. Okay, this next thing he's showing me, man, the value looks like it's up here and the price is here. Cool. I want to buy that thing. So that's what's important here. It's not necessarily about being cheap. It's really not about being cheap. It's about giving more value than they feel like they're giving you. And that way they feel good about it, right? So that's the concept here. Cool. So let's check out this offer. You've got a $23 offer, 15 beats, untagged, MP3, high quality tracked out stems, unlimited licenses, free bonus one-on-one consultation for creative direction for song or project, including my personal phone number. Damn, bro. Free bonus number 2, lifetime personal 25% off code to my website. Okay, well, I guess I know we're like running over on time, but let me go through these quickly. So one-on-one consultation, that sounds like super high value. So I think that's good, assuming that you're doing something to position yourself as somebody that they want to get that consultation from, right? Like so far, I have no idea who you are.
Right.
So that actually doesn't have value to me. So you could do that with that video. Maybe you do it later if you tell your story a little bit more. And the other part is that's going to be hard to fulfill on. When you're starting out, it's okay to do stuff that won't scale. But just know eventually you're not going to be able to scale that forever, right? Like that is not something that anybody else on this call is going to be like, yeah, you can have my personal phone number, right? Because it just wouldn't scale to where we're currently at. And to me, I don't necessarily say don't do it now. Like it's okay to do things that don't scale at first, because sometimes that's what you need to do to get that momentum. But just be aware of, that eventually you'll have to shift that.
Can't do 100 consultations a day if you're doing 100 sales a day,
Exactly right. Free bonus number 2, lifetime personal 25% off code to my website. I have I don't know. I'm curious what some of you guys think about this. To me, like a percentage off to my website, to me, it doesn't sound like much of a bonus. To me, that sounds more like, hey, I'm having a sale. Like that sounds like a promotion to me. You know what I mean? It sounds like you're selling somebody something else. You're not actually giving value. I don't know. What do you guys think? What's your
Yeah,
philosophy?
for me personally, I always like to make my bonuses and my offer something that they can have right away. Because the promise of something in the future is always like that much less impactful, I feel like, especially if it's just a percentage off. So if you can come up with bonuses that they can like download, have right away without like any barriers to getting this thing, I think it's more impactful. So yeah, that's my personal take on that.
Definitely. Shout out on my Instagram to all 17K of my followers. Love that. That sounds like value to me. Easy to understand. Got it. Dope. Bonus number 4, PDFs, including directory of over 200 A&Rs and record labels and liable TV. Is that reliable? What does that mean? Liable TV and film placement companies to submit your music. 2, you should have one O there. But I like that concept is cool, having some kind of directory or something. What's also nice for bonuses whenever possible. So like you gave the whole bundle a name, right? We talked about how we can improve that. You gave it a product mockup. The more you can do that for each step of the way, the more you build that value. So like, instead of just saying, hey, PDFs including whatever, like a PDF kind of doesn't sound like much, but if you say like, you know, my personal black book of industry context, like all of a sudden that sounds like, oh, cool. And then if you have a little mock-up, a little product mock-up of that, where it's like, I've seen people, I think the first person to do this was Russell Brunson. He has a marketing secrets book, and it's like a book and it's got like chains around it, and like a million people knocked off that concept. But that would be a dope one on that one. Like, you know, music industry contacts book, and you've got like this little mock-up of a book with like a chain around it or whatever. That just adds that value, that perceived value of that thing. It's the same thing, but it changes the perceived value by doing that.
Yeah, for sure. Anytime you can tangibilize something that's essentially just a digital download, it's gonna make it seem that much more valuable. So even though they're not actually getting shipped anything, having just like a picture of a book or a picture of a CD with beats on it or something just makes it in their eyes that much more valuable and like something they can actually touch and feel, and less feel like they're just throwing money into cyberspace. You know what I mean?
Exactly right. An additional 10 beats and hooks from the multi-platinum, platinum and Grammy-winning producers Anno Domini and Legion Beats. I mean, can't go wrong there. That's something that we offer to our students. That's not something that obviously anybody can do. And this is actually one of the most powerful things. Like, I know for me, I mentioned earlier, we did that launch, right, where we did $200,000 in sales in a week. And it's not because it was just Legion Beats. It's because it was Legion Beats and Anno Domini Beats. And I actually had a couple other producers involved as well. So that concept of bringing in other producers just stacks on that value, especially if they happen to have heard of them. That's helped. But just using products and services from other people, including Beats, and incorporating those into your offers is one of the most powerful things you can do. So.
Yeah, I just want to mention as well, that's not necessarily like a funnel philosophy, but it's a personal philosophy by me and Gabe. We really believe in the producer community coming together and collaborating instead of always trying to compete. And I feel like, honestly, that gives the best results. Like me and Gabe, whenever we come together and we do stuff together, or we even work with like people like, Dylan from ProducerGrind, stuff like that, the results are just that much better than we could achieve individually. So guys, don't be afraid to reach out to other producers and, just let's all come up together. That's what basically I'm talking about.
Definitely. Yeah, man, I'd say the biggest thing, I'm noticing, and I see there that you got your story at the bottom. I think that's definitely one of the first things. But yeah, I mean, obviously graphics are real big to me. And then one thing that's kind of a pet peeve to me is typos and stuff on the sales pages and stuff like that. Just kind of takes away all the professionalism that you built up. You know what I mean? It's kind of, even if I just catch one typo, it's got me, second guessing and questioning things. So, that's just what I would say. But I think it's dope that you've gotten a sale from this. So it shows that the system works. I think if you can go and do some of the things, especially get a video, I think that might be the best thing to do first, is get that video up there.
Definitely.
Yeah, by the way, like the whole copywriting thing, I've noticed this, like a few little spelling mistakes, a few capitalization issues, a few like random paragraphs and spaces that aren't quite the right sort of spacing. You can just go to Fiverr and hire like a copywriting person to like go through and fix everything for you. So if you're somebody who, doesn't necessarily have the best spelling, or, you already know that maybe sometimes you miss things, just do that. Get somebody else to go through it, walk through it, fix the issues for you, and everything will look smooth.
Definitely, definitely. And Daryl, since you're in our group too, just ask in the Facebook group. Somebody will go through it for sure. And
Definitely.
Okay, so I know. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. So what was the website you said that I could reach out to someone that could, like, you said the copyright, like, that can help me like kind of brush things up like that?
Yeah, man. So Fiverr.com. It's got 2 R's on the end. Fiverr.com. And you can pretty much find anything you want on there for $5 to $10.
Okay.
For sure. Cool. So okay, I guess we should probably speed it up a little bit here. So I'll go a little quicker through the rest. One thing I'll just say about copy design is really important, meaning like the words, of course, are super important, but also how they look is important. So for example, I would never have these big blocks of text. My rule of thumb is line break at every single sentence. And I actually a lot of times have line breaks even in the middle of a sentence where I'll have like, yo, I go by DW ... and I have, and I have been producing, and that's on the next line. Not necessarily that specifically makes sense, but like I really want to break it up because it's going to be way easier on somebody's eyes and they're much more likely to read it. My guess is very, very few people are actually going to take the time to read this. But if you do those line breaks and then you also bold certain sentences, which you are doing some of that, which is cool. So definitely, bold the important parts and really assume a lot of people are just going to read the titles and the bold parts. So make sure that by itself tells enough of a story that if they just read those, that they get a sense of what you're doing. And cool. Having that social proof, having testimonials is great. These are really big. So I'd probably bring them down. I'm guessing that probably looks pretty good on mobile, which is where most people are going to be on it. So it might not be the worst thing. Yeah, it looks fine on mobile. I still might make it a little bit smaller. But you can see on mobile, especially like this block of text, like I'm not reading that, But if you had some line breaks, maybe even some emojis, if that's not your style, that's fine. You don't have to do that, but at least the line breaks and something to break it up to where it's a little easier on the eyes and they're more likely to actually.
Yeah, I might even play around with putting some of the text in different colors just to make it pop more. I know you already used some like bold, also work with some like italics, some underlining, just to overall just make it easier on the eyes. Because otherwise what happens is people just glance over it and they just skim instead of actually paying attention to the most important things that you want them to pay attention to.
Yep, for sure.
Again, here like a little spelling issue and also like very dark text. I can barely read like the black on the dark blue. So
yeah, that's hard on the eyes.
Yeah, just try and figure that out a little bit when it comes to the color design of the whole page.
Cool. All right, cool. I think yeah, as you can see, we could probably do this for like hours, but I think that's probably plenty for you to start making some improvements on right away, and I think that'll make a big difference for you.
For sure.
Daryl, you feel like you got some good info?
Yeah, man, definitely. Like this is all I really needed, man. Just that tips, critiques. Like that's all I'm there for, man. Like I really appreciate it.
Right on, bro. Appreciate you being a part of the community.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
We'll see you in that Facebook group.
All right, man. Thank you. And do you repost these videos or?
We're going to be releasing these. Yep. So you'll be able to.
Mm-hmm.
We'll let you know. We'll let you know when and where.
All right.
By the
I
way,
appreciate y'all.
If you have any kind of follow-up questions, just feel free to post in the member group. We're always available, me and Gabe, and we have a whole community of producers who are happy to help out too. And then we'll have you up and running in no time. Hopefully, increase that sales and conversion percentage for you.
Yeah, man. I appreciate y'all.
No doubt.
No problem, man.
Have a good
All
one.
right, y'all keep doing your thing. Thank y'all.
All right.
All right, so we're gonna move on to Mr. Wishmaster Beats. How's it going, sir? You there, buddy?
Oh, here, let me.
I think you're muted.
Oh, muted, unmuted.
Hey, what's going on?
Yo.
How you guys?
Good. How's it going with you?
It's going good, man. Killing this shit.
Yeah. Tell us about that, man. What are you up to? I know your funnel is crushing it at the moment.
Yeah, funnel's doing great. beat sales actually went up just because of the funnel. So that's, I know
Wow.
you guys are talking about the percentage off, but it's actually worked for me. I get a lot of sales just based off that 20%. I do 20% off, and they do go back because, you know, if you put it right in the emails and you're consistent with your, you know, uploading beats, they do come back and they want more. And, you know, some people just like to collect beats. So
That's awesome, man. I love the way how you handshake your traditional beat store with a funnel, because of course the two aren't mutually exclusive. You know, we don't want anybody to go off and just shut down their beat store. I feel like you can do both, and you can actually benefit a lot by doing that strategy.
exactly.
So I'm just curious, man, actually, like, how much would you estimate you've made with your funnel since starting it?
Man, I check this shit every day. Hold on, I'll tell you right now.
Or like 20
I'm
times a
addicted.
day.
I remember you talking about in the beginning that you got addicted to the funnels, man. I get addicted to marketing now. It's like crazy.
Hell yeah.
That's awesome.
I can relate.
Yeah, so I'm about, let's see, total funnels. So 1,600 the first month. That was just a dry run just to my current customers. The second month I did $5,000,
Ooh.
Wow.
and then this month so far I'm at about 3,000.
Dude, that's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah, congratulations.
yeah, thank
Oh
you.
man.
Yeah, and my ad spend's not even near that.
How many customers did you said you did a dry run to just your customers? How big of a customer base did you already have?
I mean, I'm not gonna bullshit. Some of those guys were not like real. I keep everybody in my email, and I shouldn't probably do that. I didn't have any automation set up, so I mean, I'd say I probably had about 2,000-3,000, but probably a good 500. You know, that actually, you know, respond to emails and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, there were 2,000-3,000 in there. So.
Are you finding you're getting a lot more people legitimately on your list now that you have the whole opt-in and the whole sequence set up?
Yeah, so I'm up to about 10,000
Wow.
now so far from just running ads and stuff, and
That's incredible, man.
I get a lot of free ones too. That's why I put on the Facebook group out there doing the auto DM, because you can't really get in trouble for that. Like you know, of course you're doing the likes and the follows, you get in trouble, but the auto DM I don't get hit on. So everybody who follows, I'm auto DMing, and I'm getting a lot of follows just from running the ads. So it just works itself out. And then using, like, I put up there Tweepy. I don't know if you guys heard of Tweepy, but that's a free software that you just go in, it tells you who to follow, and then you just set up an auto DM. So everybody who follows you, you give them those 5 free beats. And then of course I put up my website too. I put a little pop up and stuff like that. So
I'm actually curious. I know as part of the course we taught you and our other students all these different traffic secrets and traffic hacks. Are you using any of those at all as part of your strategy?
have I used any of theirs?
Like the like the code traffic hack, the affiliate marketing hack, stuff like that. Are you?
I do, but I use when I extract the emails, I don't send them direct email. I actually just use it as a lookalike audience. So, and that works. So yeah,
That's awesome.
That's probably illegal, but
Yeah, we won't tell.
anyway, you know what? I know a lot of BeatStars, stuff that BeatStars does that's probably not totally legal too. So.
We're all out here trying to make it, but no, those are like 3 big gems right there. So automation apparently is not dead. You can still do it on Instagram with DMs. You can still get away with that. That's huge.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. This is a gem for me.
Well, and there's also services that charge like $5 a month to do it. I mean, I use Jarvee. It's $30 a month, but I can use it on everything. So I use it on my Twitter, my Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, whatever. So.
Dope. And then what was the Twitter one you're using for automation?
Tweepy. Well, Tweepy is not automation. It actually, you go in there. It's a free service. You just put who your competitors are. You tell them, like, even other sites that you want to go after their followers, and basically every day it tells you 150 people to follow, and then by following 150 you might get 50 out of that. But if you do this every day consistently for 5 minutes a day, you're going to get all those people following you, and then you set up an auto DM service, and then you're getting that's free traffic.
Got it. And you said you're using Jarvee for the auto DM?
Yeah, I'm using that for my auto, but there's, like I said, there's services out there that do it for like $5. So.
Fire. And then the illegal gem is you can scrape those emails and create a Facebook custom audience off of it and run ads to them. Love it.
Yeah. So I mean, it is, but it's, you know what I mean? It's like whatever. But it's not going towards them. It's going to the lookalike. So it's really,
Yeah, actually, it's fine.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
One of those like gray area kind of situations, right?
Yeah, it is, but you know, you got to try everything. I mean, and of course, if you get in trouble, they're just going to take your account away anyway. So it's your risk, you know.
Yeah, and
Sure.
honestly, there's nothing in my mind that's unethical about that. Like,
Right, because you're not actually. I don't email them. I actually do a lookalike audience based off of who I scraped. So yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I got to mention this, man. Like from talking to you 3 months ago and talking to you today, I feel like you've just upped your marketing game massively. So I feel like you've gone all in with this thing and you've really just taken it on board and just making huge strides. So congrats on that.
Thanks. Yeah, and I get a lot of people that are in the producer funnel that they hit me up all the time, like, hey, check out my funnel. What am I doing wrong? And they don't go through all the steps. And I notice, I'm like, well, do you have email going? They're like, no, I'm just trying to get people right there and then. I said, well, you have to get them back. Like that's most of your money is going to come from you retargeting those people. So they think it's just going to be that one time that I send them the free beats and they go to my offer that they're going to get it. No, most of my sales come from me emailing them or retargeting them with ads. So I try to tell people all the time.
Yeah, I think that's really important to mention because obviously the entire producer funnel system isn't just the opt-in page and then the sales page. There's a lot more that goes into it, like the email sequence, the automated email sequence that gets sent to your customers after they opt in. So a lot of people, like you say, they're not going to like buy right then and there. But you know, once you send them like 3-4 emails, you start building a rapport, you start talking to them, providing value. That's when they start to hop on board and you get that. So.
And
likewise, you also talked about like the whole retargeting you're doing, giving people like discounts further down the line and stuff, sending them back to your beat store. So yeah, it's all this big living, breathing ecosystem, right?
Yeah, and I even set up just a small funnel that because some people, you know, they really can't afford it. They can't afford the $30, $35. So what I do is I put in my sequence. I say, hey, for $10, you can just buy the unlimited rights to these free beats. Plus, I'll throw another 5 in. You put it right in your email, you put a PayPal link, and you don't have to set up a funnel page. You just have it right there, and I get a lot of sales off that. Yeah, it's $10, but $10 goes a long way when you get a lot of people that do it, you know?
For sure, man. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I love how you
I
took
like the downsell idea.
Mm-hmm.
I love how you took like the basic funnel concept, and now that you're kind of prolific with it, you're just adding layers on top and just, you know, getting creative. So I feel like you're having a lot more fun now doing the marketing stuff than, you know, you did back then.
You know, what's funny is I did 150 days of straight just putting a beat up on my site. So I was like, I'm going to do it. You know, I was talking to Mike Trampe from BeatStars, and he's like, dude, if you do that, it's going to make your SEO go crazy. And I did it, and it did. It worked. But I had no time to do anything. I have a family. I have my own school. And I was dying. I wasn't sleeping. And I hardly even upload maybe a beat a week now, and I still get way more sales. So that, you know, that technique does work. It could help your SEO, but at the end of the day, if you do something like this, it really doesn't matter.
Real quick, how much were you doing before funnels?
I was probably doing about $3 to $6 grand, probably a month. And now, yeah, I mean, right now I'm at like $9 grand. So I'm still going. I mean, I still have till the end of the month. So, and this is my part-time gig. So I don't, you know, this is not my full-time thing. So
that's a pretty sweet part-time income, I would say.
Right.
Not bad, man. That's awesome.
All right, let's jump into the funnel.
Yeah. The only bad thing is my PayPal doesn't show up in my ClickFunnels, so that's the only thing that sucks. But at the end of the day, it's, you know, I'm still getting the money because I do double. You know.
Isn't there is a way? It's like CF Pro Tools or something like that. You guys heard of that?
Well,
yeah.
Add PayPal to your funnels.
Yeah,
you can, but I do it in a way where I do upsells on both things, so you can't do it with upsells, I guess, because I have a PayPal upsell and whatever the other one's called.
We can talk after there. I don't want to get into it because it's much more advanced than most people, but you actually can do the one-click upsells with what Dylan's talking about, the CF.
Oh, you can. Okay.
PayPal and Stripe with the integrated PayPal and Stripe. Again, this is for most people. Don't even worry about all that. But yeah, what we're just talking about is like if you do the sort of basic PayPal integration, it works fine. Everything works. The only thing is when you go to your little ClickFunnels dashboard, when you want to show off all the money you made, it shows the money from Stripe. It doesn't show it from the third-party PayPal integration.
And it throws up your stats. So yeah, I need to know that then. I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, it's a little more advanced, so we'll chat later. But yeah, it's you can do it. You can do it for sure. So, cool. All right, can you guys see my screen?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's start going through this. I almost feel like we could all chime in. Like, Wish, if you want to talk about why you did certain things because this is performing so well. It's almost more. Maybe we could just talk about why it's performing well, what you think, and what we see as well. But one thing I noticed up top is you've got the deadline funnel timer up here.
That works incredible. So I remember you mentioned it. I remember in the Facebook group, and I jumped on it right away. The owner reached out to me back and like helped me through the whole process, dude. He's awesome. Like, he's like, hey man, I'll do this. And he even checked and made sure everything worked. He went through my whole email and everything. Just coolest dude on earth. So, and it has increased big time myself. And it's what, $37 a month or something?
Yep. No, that guy's awesome. He's like a legend in the marketing world. And same thing for me. He did this whole onboarding call where you like walked me through it. I'm like, dude, like, anyways, so that was super cool. But yeah,
a video and everything.
So anyway, so what that is sort of adding this deadline, and it's using this concept of urgency and scarcity, right? Two of a marketer's like best tools to use, which is that when people feel like there's a limited amount of time or a limited amount of the product that they're trying to buy, they're much more likely to take action. So that's something that's a little more, advanced, but when you can add that in, it can make a big difference.
Yeah, because I was gonna say my first month I did a funnel was a month, and I gave them 30 days, and nobody jumped on it. And I realized when I went at them the last week is when I got most of my sales.
Yep.
So I'm like, all right, so I incorporated that week, and it has increased, So.
Definitely.
And then I was gonna say I'm sorry, I won't keep up here all your time, but they integrated your email segment too. So I was gonna say when you're doing through your emails, you could put that little timer in the top of your email, which I do, and that kind of helps too because then they see that timer constantly. And I don't put it every email, but I definitely put it towards the end. So
yeah, I just want to mention as well, like with deadline funnel, essentially what you can do is you can create these evergreen timers too, so that for every individual person, and it tracks them by the way by sort of their IP address, stuff like that. It's super legit. So for everybody who comes to this funnel, it can be evergreen so that the timer starts to a certain countdown period just for them. So for example, every single person who comes through your funnel, you can tell them you have until midnight today. And it would literally count down for just that person until midnight. And then if they ever try to come back, the page is gone forever. So that's actually what I do right now for one of my funnels. But there's like a lot of things that you can experiment with. The whole concept is just give people a shorter time period. 30 days, probably too much. You realize that. But like 7 days or less is usually like the sweet spot. Experiment with that, and you'll probably find you'll make a lot more sales.
Yeah,
definitely. And I'll just give a quick disclaimer too. If you're first starting out, get the basics in there first. Don't worry about deadline funnel and all these different add-ons like we talked about ManyChat before and stuff like that. All that stuff is great, but like getting that sort of first basic funnel up first is super important so you understand all the steps of like, okay, cool, I can drive a little bit of traffic. I've got a good opt-in percentage. I've got a good enough offer. I've got, a good looking page, all that kind of stuff. Get those basics first, and then we can add all this fun stuff.
Yeah, totally. Also, if you have too much stuff going on, it's kind of hard to analyze your funnel to pinpoint like what's working and what's not working. Because if you have like 30 different plugins and all these different tactics and strategies, and it's not performing, then it's kind of hard to know exactly what is not working out. So just start with the basics and then build from there.
Absolutely. Okay, cool. So let's scroll through here.
Yeah, so first of all, of course, the video above the fold, which is awesome. So right away, I see your video, I see the play button. So of course, what am I going to want to do? I'm going to want to hit that play button and see what this video is all about. So that's perfectly done.
Yeah, for sure.
And I like how you're in the studio. And for those of you that don't have an awesome at-home studio, go book an hour, 2-hour studio time and knock it out. I feel like it's going to make you look so much more professional.
It does, and that was probably the hardest thing about I hate being on camera. Like I feel like there's a million people watching me when I tape, so I had to like clip it up and stuff. But it did help, and it's more personal. So, but I look like a douche. I'm like,
I get it. We were talking about that earlier. I think we've all felt that way. I think maybe even to some extent continue to feel that way. But the more you practice it, it becomes you feel like less of a douche.
It took you like 50 to 60 podcast episodes to get comfortable, man. Believe it or not.
No, that sounds about right. Okay, cool. Let's keep going through here. Dope. I like the product mock-up is something unique.
I like that.
So I'll just real quick. Milk makes you grow, right? So artist growth package. So I thought it was kind of cool. When you grow up, you're like, oh, I need to drink milk. I'm gonna get big. That was kind of a thing I was thinking of.
It's fun.
Yeah, I can tell that you definitely put a lot of thought into your target audience and your entire like packaging, your design, everything like that. So it's all kind of harmonious, which makes you look more professional and established. It's great.
Totally. Should we go through the video or should we? should we skip it? What do you guys think?
Play it for a second, yeah.
Oh God.
What's going on? This is Wishmaster. If you don't know who I am the CEO and founder of WishmasterBeats.com. I've been in the music business for about 20 years now. Worked with some of the biggest artists in the world. I've had my music in TV shows, movies, and video games, just to name a few. I know you're here for your 5 free beats, and don't worry, I'm going to send you that link in just 1 second. I just want to kind of give you a background about myself and be able to give you something real special today, okay? Before
I love it.
Successful in the music industry, it was not an easy road. I understand the life of an artist. I understand about budgeting, not having enough time to work in the studio, life issues that hit you along the way, having to work a job to pay for these things. I totally understand. And there's been a couple times in my career where I wanted to quit. And that wasn't because I didn't love making music or making beats. It's just because sometimes the music business gets in the way. I've been screwed over with some deals before, so I totally can understand you. And through trial and error and overcoming these obstacles, I was able to be the music producer I am today. And now I'm in a position to be able to offer you something incredible. It's called the Artist Growth Package, and it's basically 21 beats produced by me, my best beats, with unlimited rights. It would usually cost you $100. I'm not charging you anywhere near that. You're also getting 5 unreleased beats with unlimited rights as well. I'm also throwing in 3 bonuses, and one of those bonuses is my personal Guitar Center Pro hookup. Yes, that's right. You're never going to pay full price for equipment again. And this probably would usually cost you well over $2,000. I'm charging you $34.97. I'm trying to help you out. I'm trying to kickstart your career. This is for a limited time only, so do not pass up this opportunity. This is for the serious artists. So if you're serious about your career, jump on that bundle, grab it, Artist Growth Package. Either way, enjoy your free beats, and I look forward to being your new producer.
Great. Killed it.
That's horrible.
Great.
Just to give you some bad feedback first, because I know it was great, but the only thing I might do is just do it a little more vlog style and chop off some of those and the silences in between the certain things. But that was the only thing I noticed, man.
Yeah, so the reason I kept some of it is because it was more me, like that's how I was.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I did cut up something, but I'm like, you know what? That's how I talked. Like I was, I want them to see the real me. Like that was me, talking about the real stuff of what I've been through and stuff. But yeah, no, definitely those ums are annoying.
I like, a few things just to point out for everybody. You talked about your story. You told it in a way that was relatable. You showed that like, hey, I have accomplished this certain level, but I was here first. And that's super important because I think sometimes people try to position themselves up here without doing the other part of showing, hey, I used to be here, or I've been here too. And then it's not as relatable. So I think that was really good. And also, I just want to mention too, because sometimes people see this stuff and they're like, oh, well, this only works if you've accomplished all these things. And like, that's definitely not the case. Like, the truth is, if you've spent 10 years building a brand and you're recognizable already, this is going to be easier. Like, there's no getting around that. But you don't need that for this to be successful. Doing this process is also the way to build that brand credibility. And you just talk about your journey and where you are now. If you are a producer and you've got something of value, then your story is showing like, hey, I've gotten from here to here. And maybe it's not all the way up here, and that's fine. They're still going to relate to you, and you're somewhere further along than they are, at least in your specialty, which is, making beats. And if you're talking about anything else, so just to kind of erase that.
And I'll be honest with you, like some people don't even like want to jump on it because they think it's bullshit. They're like, well, you did this. Why are you going to give me this for this? Like I'm telling you, I have to email people back because they don't think I'm like, you're not going to give me these many beats with this. Like, you know what I mean? They just don't believe because you're like, well, you were Rick Ross. Why are you going to do this? For me. So.
Right.
Yeah. And by the way, it really doesn't matter if you guys are watching this, you want to build a funnel and you don't have any kind of credits or anything like that. That could even be part of your story. Yeah. So for example, if I was an independent producer, I've only ever worked with independent artists, then I'm just, going to say something along the lines of the whole industry game is something that I looked at. It was never really a priority for me. I've always enjoyed working with independent artists more because I feel like, they want this more. There's more room to grow. And that's what really motivates me and excites me. So that can all kind of play in together and actually be in your favor instead of working against you.
And that's what I said. Tell them they're working with you. It's not about your beats or your package. It's about you. We're working together. Everything I say, even at the top, how can you get the most out of working with me? That's what I make it about. It's we're working together now. Don't worry about, you know what I mean? It's not just about those beats, because at the end of the day, they can get beats anywhere. Why? It has to be about you and what you're offering. So
For sure. I've
One
even
thing-
heard that people buy into people, not products, most of the time.
oh yeah, I've
Very
been reading a lot.
It's definitely true for the music industry too. I feel like people follow artists; they don't necessarily follow music. You know what I mean? So people want to learn like the artist backstory, where they're coming from, and often that's the kind of people who just go from 0 to 100. You know.
Right.
But I wanted to mention one thing real quick with your YouTube video embed. So you see at the end there how like a bunch of stuff has popped up and there's all these like player options and stuff at the bottom. Again, this is going back to the whole philosophy of streamlining your funnel as much as possible and not having all these links going all over the place, because somebody watching to the end, they might get distracted and then click away to your YouTube. So if you can, just try and embed it in such a way that you don't have all the player options and you don't have like a list of videos at the end.
How do you get rid of that? I have no idea.
There's actually, when you're going to YouTube and you click on the little embed button, I think there's an option which says like, additional options or something like that. And then you literally unselect the part that says like show videos at the end.
Okay.
There's also, if you just Google like tutorials for getting rid of like the YouTube player bar and stuff like that, I know there's a certain way that you can structure the embed code so that it doesn't show all those options.
Okay, that's good to know.
And I see that Gabe uses Vimeo, and I'm a big fan of Vimeo because they let you totally trim all the fat. So it's literally all they can do is click play.
Yeah, exactly. That's another shortcut. YouTube does let you customize it to a certain extent, and they changed it not too long ago to where actually it's less customizable than it used to be. So if again, if you're first starting out, do YouTube, do what you can with it, is fine. But Vimeo is great because, like Dylan said, you can customize as much as you want, where it's just a play button, or you can even give them the ability to fast forward or not, or you can actually create a custom end screen where it's like it says get this offer now and there's a button on it. Like you can really customize as much as you want. So that's like a little more advanced one, or like for Wish where you're at, it's probably worth paying the whatever it is, $10 a month for like the premium version of Vimeo, so you can do that kind of stuff. Yep. Okay, cool. Let's keep going. Cool. One thing I will say on this is, this is part of how we word this in the template. I always like on a call to action button, I always like an I, like instead of like buy this now or whatever, or add to cart, I like, yes, I want this. Like, I want to get this now. That's for me personally, I always like to do an I action, a first person action. So
that's why I kept a lot of stuff. It's like, if something's working, why even change it too much? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's, I think, a good point too, is like everybody who's in the MIDI money group, they get this template. And it's funny how like a lot of times it's the people that are just starting out that are like trying to change so many things on it. It's like, like you kind of missed the point. Like we're giving you this template that we've literally made hundreds of thousands of dollars using it. Like it looks like this, do this first, then you can experiment with it. So.
Yeah, they'll put all their text at the top, and I'm like, dude, no one wants to read through that right now. Like, give them something right away, then let them scroll down to it.
Yeah, for sure. All right, cool. Let's get into the.
What was the name of his bundle? Artist Growth Package. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I like that. I feel like that's more branded. It ties in with what he's talking about. So yeah, it's dope. 21 beats, dope, untagged, MP3 and waves, unlimited license. I like we'd mentioned before, copy design, so I think you do a great job of that with the bold. I like these too. I don't even know what these are called. These little like.
Yeah, I love those things. Yeah.
You do a nice job of kind of breaking things up in a cool way. So I like that. So nice job. And then, putting in bold the pieces you want to really emphasize is great.
Yeah, so I was going to tell two people, when people email you back off your email chain and they, ask the same question over again, like change it, Everybody's like, do I get my contract? So I was like, I'm going to put that on there. So now it's like, and now nobody asked me,
Mm.
So if you get feedback, use that feedback,
It's very smart.
That is a huge gem. Like you guys got to like pay attention to that. That's so important. Is like anytime that you're getting questions from people, anytime you're you should be doing this, by the way. If you reach out to people who didn't buy, who went through your email sequence, and ask them why, make sure that you're now including something in your offer, in the sales page, in the video, that's now overcoming that objection. because that feedback is so valuable.
Yeah, for sure. By the way, you mentioned that some guys like hit you up and say they can't believe that you're actually going to do this, and it feels spammy because you work with Rick Ross and stuff like that. So I would even mention that in my story, like further down the page when you're talking about why you're doing this. I would just say like, look, I know some of you might think, why am I doing this? Because I work with all these big industry guys, but the truth is, I'm trying to give something back to the community. I'm excited about developing new talent, stuff like that. So you're overcoming that objection right away without having people to have to reach out to you to clarify.
Right.
Yep. He just said, take your own advice. Cool. This is dope. This is something unique. Guitar Center Pro hookup.
That caught my attention for sure when he was in the video.
Yeah, and it was really easy. I have, I'm a high-paying client with Guitar Center, so I have my own Guitar Center Pro. I hit him up and I'm like, dude, I'm gonna bring you a ton of business. How do you want me to do this? He's like, just give my email, put it in the cart, what they want to do, and I'll send them a discounted offer. So I do that. It's all automated. They get the email, and I explain to them exactly what to do.
Love it.
I might need that email.
Artists need equipment, so it's like you got to think of what does an artist need. Make sure your bonuses have to do something that's going to improve their career.
Yeah, and it comes back to the whole concept of collaborating as well and finding novel ways to work together. For example, one of the things I did recently was my whole team reached out to ImageLine, who create FL Studio. And we just straight up asked them for discount codes saying, we have all these producers that are going to come through. And now guess what? Like we work with ImageLine that can be part of our offer stack to give producers that hookup. So it's all just about like forging relationships, creating like the best offer you possibly can.
Even DistroKid, if you're part of DistroKid, they'll give you a percentage to off that you can give people. Like that's a good bonus. Like, hey, you get a percentage off the DistroKid. All you're doing is giving them your code. That's it. It's just a URL.
Yeah, not to mention that's actually your affiliate link, so you're actually going to
make
money off of it. So that's another little gem right there.
Yeah, and you make money. Right.
Yeah, one thing I will mention, which we mentioned on the last one too, is the more that you can give these things specific names, a lot of times the more value it's going to give to it, and even a mock-up, like doing a product mock-up for each of these, like doing a mock-up for this. Like this one you gave a name, which I think is good, the unreleased hit pack. But giving that its own little product mock-up, and maybe you do this page.
Did you just put the mock-up like actually like above it or something, like a little small one?
Yep, you could do it right in there.
Okay.
And then same thing on these ones, like free bonus. Like I would do like a little Guitar Center credit card looking thing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I mean? Hundreds of major, right. And this is the exact same thing I said on the last two. Like some kind of book, like whatever industry black book. I got to come up with another name because that's the same one I used last time. But like, something like that where it's like, oh, okay, that this has a name, and then here's the physical representation of it, and now that it increases that perceived value.
Yeah, it's the whole thing, like show them, don't just tell them. Same for the shout out to my 14K Instagram. So you could just have a little screenshot of your Instagram page, literally showing people like, this is my page, this is how many people follow me. So I think that would be dope too.
Now, do you guys, so you recommend putting it in there, or do you recommend like putting it a little bit lower somewhere else, like to reiterate it?
I would play with it, to be honest. Okay. I think it could look good in there, but you might want to play with it and see. I mean, I feel like you have a good eye, so you might just look at it and see what you think looks good. Mm-hmm. But having that somewhere, I think would be good. Having that mock-up there and giving it a name here would be nice.
Okay.
It could go at the bottom too. I'm pretty sure you have like a breakdown of how much everything is worth and stuff at the end too, right? Yeah, there you go. So it could be like in this section, for example. Just see what looks best, honestly.
Okay.
Cool. I like the copy design. That was something we talked last time about, having line breaks, having bold, and even you took it another step further, which I like, which is not only do you have it bold, but the stuff that's in bold is in a different color, underlining certain things. It just makes it much more likely that somebody's actually going to read it. So nice job.
And ClickFunnels tells you the high converting colors, so why not use the high converting colors? You know what I mean? It's like, oh, these are the high converting ones. Well, I'm going to use that.
For sure.
Yeah, I might include, you've got some of it, but I might even break this up a little bit more with a picture or two or something.
Okay.
It's still, good because it's not like a big block of text or whatever, but to me, the more, everyone has a short attention span, and rappers have an even shorter attention span. So Let's see how this looks on mobile real quick. And keep in mind, most people are going to be on mobile, so always be checking on mobile. Yeah, still not bad. This is starting to look a little bit long on mobile, so I might do a line break in some of these. Like I definitely do a line break here because it's new sends. My rule of thumb, and this is not, there's smart marketers who don't do this, but I do a line break every single sentence every time. Like that's just my rule of thumb. Just break it up.
No, that makes sense. It does look blocky.
Yeah, and it wasn't as bad on desktop, but keep in mind it's going to be most people on mobile. Quick way, by the way, if you're on Chrome, you can hit F12, and that'll show you the actual like what it'll look like on mobile.
I was gonna say, is that a plugin? I was gonna ask you that after.
Yeah, no, that's just native in Chrome. You also can pretty much get the same effect by actually just making it smaller. It's not necessarily exactly the same. So if you do that F12, it'll actually be the mobile view, but this helps too. And
what if you're on Mac and you don't have an F12? I'm looking at my keyboard here.
I'll have to get back to you on that.
All right.
The key to do it.
A new keyboard, I would say. But by the way, you can also do the same thing within your funnel editor. So if you have ClickFunnels, which is the software that Gabe and I and Wish also uses to build their funnels, there's literally like a little button that you can toggle, and it'll just instantly switch between like the mobile and the desktop view. So it's good practice to just quickly like check that every once in a while, make sure everything is formatted nicely. 9 times out of 10 it is. It already looks great. But just in case, for example, we noticed that the text looks a little long, it's a little blocky, stuff like that, you can just kind of perfect. And the cool thing is you can even do and add or hide little things specifically just on mobile and not on desktop. So sometimes if you have like a video or like a picture or something that just doesn't look right, or like a countdown timer at the top, which is taking up too much space, then you can literally just hide that on mobile version.
Yeah, just to kind of show you could have, whatever. Let's say you have some here. It looks cool on desktop. You check it on mobile for whatever reason it's too big or it just doesn't make sense. You can actually say, okay, I actually want to hide this on mobile, but have it show on desktop. I think I actually just hit it on both. But
be careful because, especially you new guys, because you can really screw some shit up by doing that.
Yeah, you do want to be careful if you start losing stuff. You got to go find it.
Yeah, I did it in the beginning. It was bad.
But it is cool that you can just click right here in mobile and actually have you can edit it live in mobile so you can see in real time how that's going to affect it. So that's pretty cool. All right, let's get.
By the way, that little sort of funnel that you were just checking out with Gabe, that's actually literally the template that we give to all the Midi Money members. So this is like the foundation on which you guys are going to be building your funnels. And this is the same one that Wish used, the same one that W Beats used. And yeah, it's already sort of mapped out for you with our best judgment and our knowledge of literally like 5 years of building funnels and making millions of bucks in the process.
Yeah, and I've been doing it less than 3 months and it works. So don't change it too much.
For sure.
Absolutely. Cool. Yep.
So like actually like you have like a second video there. I remember I was talking to you a couple months back and that was like your main video, right? This is just, from what I remember, it's like a little video just about your credits and building up authority and stuff. And I remember telling you to like actually make a personal video addressing the customer and speaking more to them rather than about yourself. So I like that you actually kept this, but it's not like the main video focus now.
Yeah, because I want to give them a little highlight. It's like, and I put it together. So I'm like, man, I got to use this somehow,
Dope. And then this is, again, this is part of the template, but the whole idea here is that you're showing them the actual value, the way that you make this stuff not be spammy and corny is that it's believable, right? So if you show like, oh wait, that actually is the value, then it works. But if you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna give you a couple beats, that's a $3,000 value, and then it's like cross out, then it's like it's not believable, right? So that's the idea here, is like show them everything they're getting, show them the value of each thing, and then they actually have to go like, oh yeah, like 21 beats, that would actually cost that much, right? And then that's how that total value becomes believable. And then when you give them the actual price, which is usually like around 10% or so of that total value, then it's like, okay, I can't not buy it. And again, this works at any price. Like most of what we're talking about here is like the first offer you're going to give somebody. So you want it to be a low price offer. But the same concept applies if you're selling something for 500, 5,000, 10,000, whatever it is. The important part is that the value is much higher than the price. That's the important piece of this. I think sometimes people get confused that the funnel concept means you sell stuff for cheap, and that's actually not what it is. That could be what it is, but again, it's just more value than what they're paying for. Cool. And then you've got this. You got an order form bump, which is cool. It's a little bit more of an advanced technique where it's basically a really easy way to add an additional product. It's almost like the concept of you're at the grocery store and you're like in line and you see like the Snickers bar and you're like, all right, let me grab that real quick. So you want it to be something that is like a no-brainer, easy to explain. And they're like, oh, okay, for an additional $25, I'm going to get the tracked out stems to all these. Like, wow, that's really good.
And I actually get a lot of those sales too. So it does help.
Do you happen to know the percentage off the top of your head, or do you have it in front of you?
If I had to guess, I'd say about maybe 25, 30% will do that.
Yeah, I've got an order form bump on mine that's pretty similar.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, mine is for more beats, but same concept. And I actually have an over 50% take rate on that on my store. So it's like the amount of money that I make just from that is a lot. So
I'm curious to hear actually what's your price point on your order bump and your offer? Okay.
So I actually, interestingly enough, my offer on the first one is 19. My order form bump is 25. So I actually have a more expensive bump than the offer, and it's something like 55% who take that 25. And to be clear, it's 19 plus 25. It's an additional 25. So my average cart value ends up being really, relatively high, even though I can say, hey, you get all this for 19. And the psychology is like, oh my God, I want all that for 19. I'm already here. Bam, bam, bam. I filled out my credit card. We talked about micro commitments earlier. Like that's a pretty big commitment. I already did this. Oh, damn. Okay. Yeah. I want that. Easy. No brainer. Bam. Now all of a sudden you've, increased your average cart value by 25%, 50%.
Now, is there a way, I was thinking too, as an artist, is there a way to put another line underneath that says total amount so they don't get like thrown off and think, oh, that 34 up there is going to be added to another 34? Because I was thinking, I want to make it so clear that they're not like spooked, that they think they're going to get all these charges. You know what I mean?
Right. I actually have to double check on that.
Okay.
I definitely, it's good that you say here, an additional $24.99, so that is clear. As far as something added up, I'll have to take a look at that if it'll show you.
And speaking of too, I noticed a lot of people in the chat ask you guys a lot of technical questions. Mm-hmm. ClickFunnels is awesome about their service, about answering questions and like helping you. Like in the beginning, I had so many problems and I didn't want to, burden you guys with the small stuff. They do answer and they will work and they'll even send you a survey afterwards to say, hey, how well did I do and everything. So I was going to tell a lot of people, like, you need to ask them because they will help you with anything.
Right away, too, for the most part.
Yeah, right away and free. It's like they're not charging you for it. So it's part of their service. So.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I feel like there's, when you join us, we have this producer Facebook group, which is incredible. Like, it's so dope. I love being in there because it's these guys. We're all hanging out in there. And so we're all exchanging ideas and stuff. And there's people who are brand new and they're like, hey, can I get feedback on this? And I love that. But there is a certain extent where it's like they're asking some super basic question where it's like, yeah, you can just figure that out.
You guys are too nice. So cool. This is what I was talking about, the PayPal thing. So I actually, Anna, you had that on one of your offers, I want to say maybe a few months back, and that's why I decided to go that route. But if there's a way I can integrate the PayPal where I can still do the order bump and it will show up in ClickFunnels, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, there is. So that's not something that I've actually implemented in my funnel yet, but I know Gabe's played around with that. So it's something that I definitely want to introduce if it runs smoothly. So I haven't really tested the whole thing. Gabe, I don't know how you feel about it. Do you feel like it's 100% there?
I just recently started playing with it. It does seem to work. It's much more advanced. So for most people probably watching this, it's, I wouldn't worry about it. I would just go with either Stripe. There's a few options. You can go Stripe, or they call this like the third party PayPal integration, meaning you're going to click this, take you to PayPal, take you back. This, by the way, is the exact structure I used when we did $200,000 in a week. So it works. Not a problem. It's great.
Oh yeah, I do just as much PayPal sales. The other one. I mean, the only downfall is I have to send every single person personally their bump. But whatever.
Oh, well, let's talk. You know what you need? We can get that fixed for you.
Okay. All right. Cool.
You need 2 separate buttons instead of this. You actually need to give them 2 buttons, and then you can actually automate.
Okay. All right. Makes sense.
Yeah, that was something that I struggled with for a long time. I remember like 5 years ago when I did my first ever Black Friday sale, and we had like thousands of orders because we were giving away beats for $7. And literally, I would just be sitting there like copying and pasting text messages, and yeah, it was crazy. But don't worry, we'll hook you up.
Yeah, so you just need 2 separate buttons is really what it is, and that way on each one they'll be separate products.
All right.
Awesome. Well, man, you're crushing it. You're definitely somebody who's taken this concept and just ran with it. So it's really fun to see. And that, to me, like, that was part of my goal that I want, is like, not just to be like, hey, here's the tactics and strategies that work, and that's great, but like, once you start going with them, seeing that, oh, this stuff is actually fun. Like, you can use your creativity, almost like making beats, where you can be like, oh, what if I did this? Like, oh, I have this connection at Guitar Center. Let me add that in there. Or like, what if I did this design wise, where this went here, and all that kind of stuff. It actually becomes really fun, especially when you start making money and get results. So
I made over 10 grand in less than 3 months. And I mean, it works, and it's awesome.
I love how you're just absorbing everything. You mentioned that you saw the deadline funnel thing inside the members group, and you just implemented it right away. So there's just so much value and information in that group being shared all the time, that if you're actually, going all in and like reading all this stuff and implementing it, the basic funnel is just the launching pad basically. But I just wanted to touch on one final thing actually, and this still trips me up. I think it's hilarious. But the cool thing about sort of learning all this funnel strategies, all this like marketing knowledge, is that you can apply it to pretty much anything, right? So we're teaching you guys how to create a producer funnel selling beats, but you can actually use the same technology, the same everything, to pretty much sell anything you want. And I saw that you were actually selling some shoes using a funnel. So I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I was this company reached out to me, and they do like, you can do your own shoe and design it and stuff, and then you get a percentage of it. I'm like, yeah, I'm a huge shoe lover, so I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. And I'm like, wait a minute, why don't I just do this in a funnel? So I didn't care about making money off the shoes. I just wanted to just sell as much as I can off them, just to get them out there, because it's my brand, I guess.
Yeah.
And so I just did this funnel with, you get this package, you get 2 unlimited leases, or 2, something like that. And I made it more about the bundle, and then like, yeah, and you get these shoes too, Yeah, and I ended up getting, I think, like 20 orders. So, it's good, because I mean, they're expensive. They're from Italy. They're like $197. So, I mean, I knew I wouldn't do it, but I did sell 20, you know what I mean? And people loved it. So I was like, hey, it was fun.
Yeah. I think the point is, you can sell anything you want with these funnels. So if you want to go off and you sell a t-shirt, you sell a CD, if you're also an artist, whatever it is, you just use this funnel as the backbone, and then sky's the limit.
Right.
Most definitely, man.
And last thing I says, I did a one-time offer last month for 2 weeks, and I think that was like, I made 4,000 or 5,000 off that. And it was just like, I took 100 beats from like 2017, and I was like, I'm just gonna throw these in here, because the thing is, when you're first starting out as a producer, like I've been doing this a long time, but I just started back online 2 years ago. Like, I have not been doing this for 20 years. You know what I mean? Like, when I started, I was killing it, and I had to restart. And basically, I was like, all right, those beats in 2017 probably were not heard by a lot of people, and most people that come to your website are not listening to all your beats. They might go through a few. So I'm like, well, I'm still gonna, because there's bangers in there. I'm just gonna take 100 of these beats that I know I probably haven't been heard, throw them in a package, and I did it for like $40, and I sold a shitload, And it's like those beats got life again. And then I sold a lot of them for exclusive rights, because I added in my email chain saying, hey, some artists only want exclusives. They'll think, oh, if someone's sharing my beat, like, that's not, they get upset about that. So I say, oh, well, if you made a banger to one of these, you obviously already bought them. You can get exclusives for these for this discounted price. So I have this, like, all these exclusives of these old beats for like $250. And I sold a crap load of them. So that's just another technique of using the funnel and the email automation. You know what I mean?
That's for sure.
Yeah, it's
I can literally see the gears just like turning in your head, like all these ideas and like different things that are coming up. So
I don't sleep. I've been buying all those books and just reading, and just like, I'm like, man, I want to be a marketer. Like, seriously, that's what I say. people ask me what you do. I say I'm a music producer, but I also am a marketer.
Totally.
Hey, that's what happened when Gabe first pulled up on us, man. That those gears started turning.
Yeah, man. And that's what happened for me too. Like I was a music producer for over a decade before I even thought about marketing and entrepreneurship, any of that. And now this was my gateway into it. And now it's like, yeah, same thing. Like I identify as a marketer. Like I'm a producer, of course, I make beats. That's what I do. But I'm also a marketer and an entrepreneur. Like I love doing that. So that's part of the fun of it. And that's part of what's been so fun with this whole thing that we've been doing and building this community is like getting people those results and also getting people excited about that side of it. Because here's the thing, like if you hate the business side of it, you're not going to be successful. It's impossible to be great at something that you hate doing. Like, I don't know about impossible, but it's going to be really, really hard and it's going to suck. So like, that's what's so fun about this is that we're making it fun, is that it's you start getting into this process, you start to understand the principles, and now all of a sudden you can apply those principles to the new ideas that you have. So anyways, this stuff is fun. I'm glad that I get to hang out with you guys. I appreciate everybody taking the time. Maybe we could just go around and just talk about where everybody can find us. I know for me personally, you can hit me on Instagram at Legion Gabe. We also have a free training that me and AD are doing where we basically go over sort of the basics of this whole concept. It's like an hour and a half long training. We give you a lot where you could literally just watch that and get a lot from it. And then if you go through that free training and you love it and you're ready and you want to jump into the community that I'm in, that AD's in, that Wishmaster's in, that Dylan's in, that, you know, all these producers are in, and you're ready to take it to the next level, we'll give you an offer. You already know the value is going to be really high because that's how we do it. So you're going to get a lot out of it. And you can find that at legionbeats.com/producergrind.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure. I just want to say thank you guys for hanging out with us. Thank you, Wishmaster, as well, for sharing your story and your funnel. It's really awesome to see your journey in this whole thing. So, you know, at the end of the day, it's all about creating more entrepreneurs, creating more self-made business people, and getting producers paid. So I'm excited to see that that's exactly what's happening for you, man. And hopefully it can happen for actually, I know it's going to happen for hundreds more. And I guess our mission, Gabe and I, our mission is to create that third producer who's going to pick up the 2 Comma Club award and go up on that stage and, you know, get their award for having made over $1 million selling beats. So that's what we're trying to do.
For sure.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And anybody who wants to hit me up on anything, I'm a you know, an educator. So I love to help people. So just hit me up. Wishmaster Beats. That's with a Y, not an I.
Definitely. Yeah, I appreciate everyone, you know, for tuning in this video, especially the people that, you know, stuck all the way here to the end. You know, definitely a lot of gems. Definitely go check out, you know, legionbeats.com/producergrind. They got a free webinar. That's kind of what got me into the whole thing too. And that's what made me say, hey, Gabe, man, pull up, let's do the interview. You know, we pulled up on AD. But you guys, you know, you can also always, man, I'm always great about answering DMs. I answer like 99.9% of all DMs, unless it's like something super spammy. But it's at CEO Dylan, DYLAN on Instagram, or, you know, you can always send me an email, dylan@producergrind.com.
Awesome. Cool. And I'll just say one more thing too. If you guys do have questions, when we do that training, we're going to have a Q&A at the end. So any questions you might have for us about what we talked about today, about selling beats, about funnels, anything, go to legionbeats.com/producergrind, register for that training. And then you can literally just ask us any question you want and we will answer that for you. So hope to see you guys on there. Appreciate you guys for taking the time to hang out. All right, guys, have a good one.
All right, super.